This is what's left, a community ravaged by Typhoon Haiyan. 1 month on, survivors are slowly picking up the pieces. In Leyte province of the Philippines, relief supplies are flowing, but the needs are massive. The UN Refugee Agency is reaching out to local leaders to discuss how best to meet their needs.
Everywhere we go, you are a recipient, you clean your area.
Many of the worst hit areas are by the coast. Tanuan is one of the areas devastated by the typhoon and storm surge. Robert Mansalaya and his family were evacuated in advance, but he lost 2 brothers and everything he owns. After his home was swept away, he built this shed using what he could scavenge from the rubble.
Kaya lang kami nag-ano dito, pagtayo lang ng mga bahay-bahay, wala naman kaming malipatan. Wala naman matayo na ibang lugar. Dito lang kami nagtayo na lang, balik sa dati. Nakakatakot dito. They are worried. Kung may bagyo, delikado.
Working with local authorities, UNHCR is distributing tents and other relief supplies to meet urgent shelter needs. The Philippines government says there'll be no rebuilding near the sea. This means that many survivors will need new homes.
UNHCR is trying to support the government in these efforts by providing tents that people can move into temporarily. But in the meantime, the government does need to think about longer-term solutions, where to put these people in a place that's safe, but also where they can have access to jobs and basic services.
At the temporary site in Tanuan, daily rains have slowed down the pitching of tents. Roberto and his wife Rosalina get a glimpse of where they'll be living for the next few months.
Natatakot kami doon pag na bagyo kay na lakas ang tubig.
So takot po kayong mangyari ulit yung bagyo?
Oo. Ngayong bagyo, ayaw na bumalik na. Ayaw namin na doon. Kakatakot.
The Mansalay's problem doesn't end there. Their youngest, Rubilin, is 2 years old, but weighs just over 4 kilos. This pre-existing case of malnutrition is promptly addressed by UNHCR and other aid agencies. Mother and daughter will receive urgent treatment. Sadly, there is no quick fix for the typhoon-affected people of the Philippines. More funding will be needed to help the survivors recover from this tragedy.
Palestine, a country under siege. The streets have become so narrow that people can reach out of their windows and shake hands between the houses. One area has become commonly known as the largest open-air prison on earth. Resources are stretched. Without access to medical supplies, building materials, and even water, the people live trapped. The last invasion brought troops to the door of the Aulu family. Thrown out of their house, the army destroyed not only their home, but also their crops and livestock. Their entire livelihood was destroyed. Unable to find employment, unable to rebuild their home, they sleep exposed to the elements. The children huddled together, suffering the biting cold of the winter air. The mother cooks in a kitchen that simply has no walls, and the children sleep in a room that has no supports and is in serious danger of collapse. Malnourished children living in a malnourished building. They describe their situation as if the family is not living. Faiza Aulu told us what it's like to exist like this.
يعني إحنا لما ما فكرناش يعني الحرب زي هذا الحرب. ضربونا الإف 16 ضربتنا هويتين على باب الدار بالضبط. وهم عارفين البيت فيه سكان عشان الطيارات ضربت فوق الدار المية نزلت من الخزانات لا كان عندنا مية لا كان عندنا أكل يعني أنا بقول معك 5 دقايق بتطلع من البيت يا بدنا نهد البيت على 2 سفن يعني كان عندنا شجر ناكل منه وكان عندنا زيتون بعد 27 يوم لقينا البيت رايح الجرافات دمرته يوم والرزق على الله.
In another part of Palestine, life for the Kalyani family is very different. Their land was also destroyed by troops. But Islamic Relief installed a water pump which has helped bring life back to land the size of a football pitch. Now the family grow their own crops, peaches, cabbages, strawberries and almonds, and it's all possible because of a simple irrigation system. They're even exporting the strawberries to the UK so they can support themselves. After school, the children help their parents tending to the crops, and they have their life back. Their father has his dignity, their mother her family. Watching the children run and play in the orchards, for a moment you can almost allow yourself to forget their situation. During filming, the children began to look concerned. They asked if we could move back towards the main road. Suddenly, an explosion went off, and a helicopter flew towards us, firing. At this point, we had to stop filming. Later, we received news that a person had been killed in the field next to us. The conflict continues. The people are trapped, never knowing if this day is their last. Children are being born into a war zone, like this little baby, who's clinging on to life. He was born in our prenatal clinic in Shifa Hospital. Sadly, the nurses informed us that since the last invasion, they've seen a significant rise in premature births and children born with deformities. For you, donating will make a difference. For a child in a war zone, it could be the difference between life and death. To donate, please contact Islamic Relief now. Every second counts.
The Syrian conflict has escalated out of control. The United Nations says soon half of Syria's people will be in need of aid. Millions of people have been forced to leave their homes to find somewhere safe. Some have found places for their families to sleep inside Syria. Others have had to follow long, hard roads past the border just to keep their family alive. For all of them, life is torn apart and will never be the same. Many have seen loved ones lying cold and lifeless. Confused children watch their parents and grandparents cry. The trauma will never be forgotten. They never expected to carry all their possessions in their arms. They never expected to have to rely on strangers for food. Mustafa lived in Homs. He was forced to watch his family massacred.
يعني تخيل انه وقت بتكون انت مثلا مهجر يهجموا عليك بالدبابات والقذائف القناصه لا يفرق لا طفل لا مرأة لا كبير لا صغير تقعد الصبح ما تلاقي الا مسدود هون 2 هون 3 هون 1 وكلهم مدبحين ومن هون من رقبه.
Muhammad and her family lived in Marat al-Noman city.
كنا باركين يعني مبسوطين مكيفين. عندنا 6-7 غرف. صار يضربوا علينا من واد الضيف غزايف. عندي ولد اسمه غاصب يقولوا له غاصب أبو وليد عمره 25 سنة. كان عامل هو يشتغل ومتجوز عريس جديد مرته ماله يعني 6-7 أشهر متجوز. جتنا 6-7 غزايف بنفس الدار صوتيات والله حمانة والله يرحمه ويرحم جميع شهداء أمة محمد وأنا مقدمته هو وأخواته فدى الوطن وفدى الشعب.
Muhammad and her husband took their other children away from the city and found shelter in a cave. There are no windows to explode into shards of glass, no walls to fall down, no possessions to be bloodied or destroyed, no water, no bathrooms, no electricity. Millions of Syrians are adrift, like Muhammad's family. People are living wherever they can. They've lost their homes, their livelihoods, their dignity, their children, their lives, their limbs. This is Bilal. His brother was shot dead between the eyes by a sniper. Bilal was shot in the arm and was lucky to escape with his son. Even the nurse had a terrifying experience. She was kidnapped, imprisoned, and tortured. During her ordeal, her hands were burned with gas flames. No one should have to suffer like this. Time is running out for the people of Syria. This Ramadan, many of the refugees are fasting, and they don't know where they'll find food for iftar. They're trusting in Allah and in the kindness of strangers. Even Syrians who are still clinging to their homes can barely recognize their country, and they're struggling to find the things they need to live. Islamic Relief is working deep inside the Syrian war zone to make sure people get the humanitarian aid they need. Inside Syria, our donors in the United States have sent desperately needed food, blankets, and mattresses, and you've helped stock dozens of hospitals with medicine and medical equipment. For refugees in Lebanon and Jordan, you've sent food, water, clothes, soap, and diapers. You've helped pay for rent so families had a place to stay, and you've paid for life-saving surgeries for injured refugees in Jordan. Qasim was bringing food to neighbors last Ramadan because it was hard for them to leave their homes. He was caught in crossfire and his back was riddled with shrapnel. Islamic Relief USA donors helped bring Qasim to Jordan so he could get the surgery he needed. Last Ramadan, our donors also sent food packages to thousands of refugee families in Jordan and Lebanon. Your gifts gave refugees the energy to face another day. Outside Syria's Marat al-Noman city, an Islamic Relief worldwide team found Muhammad's family in their cave. Islamic Relief was able to bring in things to make the family's life a little less painful, make a lasting difference in the life of someone who needs you. For Syria, for a mother, a father, for the children. Please, give generously now, for Syria. Islamic Relief USA, 20 years together for a better world.